What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. So good to have you here. So, got to see Fantastic Four: The First Steps last night. I did a out of theater reaction, and um, I enjoyed the movie very much. Actually, I had some people ask me about my out of theater reaction because I wasn't really excited, and the reason why is because a lot happened in the film, and I really needed a moment to digest everything I saw because there was a lot there, and I wanted to talk about it today. But I needed an opportunity. Let me just absorb what I just witnessed, and then I'll share how I really feel. But the Fantastic Four: First Steps, directed by, excuse me, Matt Shackman, and I'll start with what I like, and then I'll go into dislikes, and then I'll give my number score. So first off, we'll start with the cast. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, fantastic. Pedro Pascal, listen, excuse me. There are a lot of people online when this was initially announced that he was casted as Reed Richards, did not like the casting choice. And some of it is, I guess, a little warranted because he is everywhere. And sometimes when a actor is in everything, you think that he's only getting casted due to the fact that he's the new hotness right now. However, with Pedro, that is not the case because every role he's been in, he's knocked it out the park. One, and he's just a really great actor. Like he's a really great actor, and he killed it as Reed Richards. He was fantastic. Joseph Quinn as Human Torch was great. Julia Garner as Silver Surfer was fantastic. Ralph Ineson, excuse me, as Galactus. Yo, we're gonna talk about Galactus, but Galactus is definitely one of my favorite part of the movie. And Ebon Moss Bachrach, and I know I said his name wrong. I always mess it up. As Ben Grimm was fantastic. So cast was great. I thought that everybody who they picked, they nailed it, and I couldn't have think of a better cast now that I've seen the movie. I thought that this was a really great way to introduce the Fantastic Four. Now I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't a big Fantastic Four reader of the comic books, but I know the Fantastic Four. I know the history. I know the property. I know the characters. Anyways, I am a Fantastic Four fan, but I didn't read a lot of Fantastic Four comic books. But I always loved whenever they were around with other characters. And there are a few Fantastic Four moments that I did buy coming up. But with that being said, this was a great way of introducing the Fantastic Four in the MCU. They really nailed the family aspect of the Fantastic Four, it being Marvel's first family. And it was a family oriented film, and the togetherness of it I liked. I think that you want when you introduce a property, you want to make sure that you capture the essence of who those characters are to the fans. And I feel like they did. So I feel like if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four, you will love this movie. If you're not a fan of the Fantastic Four, you'll like this movie for sure. If you have no idea who the Fantastic Four are, I think you'll like this movie as well. I think they did a really good job of introducing the Fantastic Four to the MCU and the new audiences. So I thought they executed that introduction well. And I say that because I feel like that this movie was a good introduction film because there's a lot that they set up in this film. So it was a good setup movie. The world building was fantastic. One thing I really loved is that they just drop you off in the Fantastic Four's world, similar to Superman. And I thought that was great. You get a little backstory on who they are? Yes. But they don't spend a lot of time on it, and it's not necessary. Like what they do to show you who the Fantastic Four, how they get their powers and all that stuff is this is what happened, this is the result of it, and this is what they've been doing since. Boom. I felt like that was perfect, and it wasn't necessary to do more because you're still getting to learn these characters in the film, but they spend more time on the family aspect and dealing with family and dealing with their fame now, which I felt was more important than their origin stories. But again, the characters are great. The action, there's enough there to definitely keep this movie exciting. I would have preferred a little more. I think there were some dull moments, but overall, I thought the action was great. Now, the way this film is shot, y'all, I see why everybody talks about you got to see it in IMAX, because the cinematography in some of these uh, scenes is crazy and it is really dope. I like that a lot. Well, so I said the characters, the cinematography, the story about family was great. Galactus, listen, when I saw the Eternals, one of the things that the movie was horrible, but the thing that I liked is that what it was introducing. I remember walking out of the theater saying to myself, okay, now I know that we'll get a Galactus and we'll get it done right because of what they just introduced in Eternals. And the way they do Galactus in this movie is better than I could have ever imagined the character being. He is so dope. He's legit terrifying. When he appears, like terrifying on some Godzilla -1 level. He's legit terrifying, and I loved it. It's hard not to spoil, but this is definitely, I'm gonna keep this non-spoiler free. I'm gonna keep the spoiler free, excuse me. There are a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. They introduce a lot if you catch it. Nothing like in your face. Stay tuned for part 2 to see the rest of this, but you can clearly see that they're setting up a world, um, and it made sense. So all that was great. What I didn't like, I felt that there are some characters that were underutilized, but I get why. This is clearly because it's about family and because of who they're introducing. I guess it's not a spoiler if you've seen all the trailers. You know that you get Reed and Sue's son. So because it's about family and it's about the birth of their child, Reed Richards and Sue Storm are front and center in this film. Sue Storm really being front and center in this film. And I felt that Torch and the Thing, Ben Grimm, were a little underutilized, but I did like their camaraderie, and the two of them together every time they were in a scene was dope. But I do felt they were a little underutilized, but I also understand why, because it's the first film, and I think that they will be doing more in other films. So because this was first steps, the focus was around, of course, mom and dad and baby. So that part was a little, oh man. And again, there was some, this movie moves, but there were some low moments. But this movie does move. So I'm not gonna say pacing was bad. I wish there was a little more action to it, but that's not a real negative for me. I think the biggest thing I did not like is some of the characters were a little not used to the point that I would have liked. So the only other piece is the build up to the third act is crazy. Like the build up to the third act, they do a very good job of building you up. But when it happens, and I've seen a lot of people say the third act is phenomenal. For me, I didn't. I thought it was only. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. Especially with the characters involved in the third act. It was good, but that was the biggest letdown to me was the third act. The build up to the third act is crazy. Like you're really anticipating what's about to happen. They do a really good job of doing that. But then when it hit, I kind of was a little underwhelmed. I'm not going to say it was bad because it was not, but it wasn't great. It was good. And so because of that, that's another reason why when I left the theater, my reaction wasn't so, oh my goodness, because I obviously just finished watching the third act. And I was like, I wish there would have been another way they executed the end. But overall, I thought the movie was good. That would have been my biggest complaint. I don't know if I mentioned Silver Surfer, but Julia Garner killed it, y'all. What they do with Silver Surfer is dope. Dope. She was another highlight of the film for sure. Yep, let me stay right there. I was just about to drop a spoiler. So overall, what is my number for this movie? on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being zone out, skip this one, is trash. 5 being it's a must see, it's fantastic. I'm gonna give it a 4. It was a solid movie. It was solid. I think again, overall, the story of family and together in this world that they built in was great. The set pieces, this 828 Earth is dope. I thought that was fantastic. I love that part of the film. I thought the acting and the characters were great. Galactus, forget about it. I think for me, the only thing that really did not make this movie amazing was, in my opinion, I thought the third act wasn't as good as it could have been. Although it was good, it wasn't great. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 4. With that being said, the Fantastic Four is a good movie. Marvel is headed in the right direction. With the, almost said the Expendables. Wow. The Thunderbolts was great. And even though it didn't make a lot of money in theaters, I think that's a travesty because I thought the Thunderbolts was fantastic. And with the Fantastic Four now being the next thing on film for MCU, they're doing great. So what was that? Deadpool and Wolverine, Thunderbolts, and the Fantastic Four first steps. Listen, in regards to movies, Marvel has definitely turned a corner and they're headed in the right direction. It's still hit or miss when it comes to their TV series. And I feel like there's been more misses than hits, but we'll see. But they're doing very well and they're headed in the right direction for their cinematic universe. I enjoyed the Fantastic Four. If you saw it, let me know what you think. Please do me a favor. Don't spoil anything in the comments. We could talk about it, but let's talk about it without spoiling, please, for those who have not seen it. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Do me a favor. If you like the content, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. And hit that little alarm button as well so you can get alerted whenever I post new content. And also, do me a favor, share with other people who you think would like this content as well. We have a big goal of 1,000 subscribers we're trying to get to, and we need your help. Appreciate it. Till the next one. Peace.